Graves aren't supposed to breathe. They're supposed to be silent, final, sealed forever. But the night I stood near the old cemetery crypt and heard steady breathing coming from inside, I realized some burials don't mean the end. My name's Daniel. I'm not the type who scares easily. I grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, surrounded by old churches, barns, and graveyards. You hear all the ghost stories as a kid, but you don't take them seriously. I work construction now. Long days, longer nights, calluses on my hands, and a back that feels twice my age. Ghost stories don't exactly fit into my life anymore. But the thing about small towns is, when something strange happens, everybody knows. And everybody was talking about the same thing. The crypt in the old St. Mary's Cemetery. It had been freshly sealed, concrete poured, and the iron door locked shut. A burial had taken place just a week earlier, and yet people walking past swore they heard breathing. I didn't believe it. I told myself it was just another town rumor. But one night after work, curiosity got the better of me. It was late October, cold enough for my breath to fog in the air. I took a flashlight and walked up the winding path past the graves, weeds crunching under my boots. The cemetery was quiet, too quiet. Even the crickets seemed to hush when I reached the crypt. That's when I heard it. Slow, steady, inhale, exhale, breathing. I froze. My brain scrambled for explanations. Maybe it was the wind funneling through cracks. Maybe an animal got trapped inside. But no, the sound was too human, too rhythmic. I leaned closer to the iron door, my ear just inches away from the cold metal. The breathing quickened, almost like whoever or whatever was inside knew I was there. I stumbled back, heart hammering. My flashlight flickered, and then, just as suddenly as it started, the breathing stopped. The next day I asked around, old-timers at the diner, groundskeeper at the cemetery. They all said the same thing. That crypt had been sealed after a man named Howard Greeley was buried. He died alone in his farmhouse, supposedly. But the whispers said different. They said the doctor declared him dead too soon. They said his family rushed the funeral. They said Howard had been terrified of suffocating, always muttering about being buried alive. Now, they said, his soul or his body wasn't resting easy. I tried to shrug it off, but I couldn't. I had to go back. 2 nights later, I found myself standing in front of the crypt again. The air was heavy, damp, carrying that sour smell of old leaves and stone. I held my breath, and there it was, breathing. Louder this time, raspy, strained. "Hello?" I whispered, feeling ridiculous. The breathing hitched, then turned into something else, a low, guttural moan. The ground beneath my boots vibrated. I swear I felt it, like something pounding from inside the crypt walls. I ran. Sleep didn't come easy after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it again, the ragged inhale, the rattling exhale. And then came the dreams, dreams of dirt pressing down on me, lungs screaming for air, fingernails breaking against wood as I clawed at a coffin lid that wouldn't budge. I woke drenched in sweat, the phantom taste of soil in my mouth. By the fourth night, I knew I had to go back, not out of bravery, but out of obsession. I had to know if it was real or if I was losing my mind. This time, I wasn't alone. My friend Kyle came with me. He thought it was hilarious, the idea of a breathing grave. We brought a recorder, stood in front of the crypt, waited. First, nothing, just the creak of branches in the wind. Kyle smirked, ready to call it quits. Then we both heard it, clear, rhythmic, breathing. Kyle's smirk vanished. "Holy shit," he whispered. The recorder picked it up, loud, ragged inhales and exhales. And then, under the breathing, came something else. A voice, weak, muffled, pleading. "Let me out." Kyle dropped the recorder. We bolted like scared kids, not stopping until we were back in his truck, heart slamming, skin clammy with cold sweat. The next day, Kyle swore we imagined it, said the recorder must have glitched, but I couldn't let it go. I went back alone that night, recorder in hand. My flashlight beam trembled against the stone. The breathing started almost immediately, fast, desperate. I pressed the recorder against the crypt door, and then 3 knocks from inside. My blood turned to ice. The recorder picked up a final word, whispered like dying breath. "Please." Suddenly, the air shifted. My flashlight went out. The world drowned in black. And in that blackness, the breathing wasn't behind the crypt door. It was right next to me. Hot, damp, against my ear. I stumbled back, fumbling with the flashlight. When it flicked on, the iron door was open. But that wasn't possible. It had been sealed with concrete. Inside, the crypt was empty, the coffin lid shattered, wood splinters scattered across the floor, and on the walls, scratched deep into the stone, were words written over and over. "I can't breathe." I don't remember leaving. I just remember the next thing I knew, I was back in my car, hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the wheel. The police said the crypt was still sealed, untouched. They showed me photos. They laughed when I insisted I saw it open. But when I checked the recorder, the sounds were still there. Breathing, knocking, pleading. And every night since, when I close my eyes, I hear it again. The slow, steady rhythm of someone suffocating. And sometimes, in the dead silence of my bedroom, I hear it right next to me. Inhale, exhale, breathing that isn't mine. So if you ever pass a freshly sealed crypt and you swear you hear breathing coming from inside, don't stop, don't listen. Because some graves don't keep the dead. Some graves are still alive.